Okay, so you have purchased a sign kit to do it on your own. So this video is going to show you all of the steps that you need to do so that your sign is looking great at the end. So grab yourself a drink or water or coffee, tea, whatever, and we'll get started. Okay, so first thing that we're gonna do is you can take a credit card, anything like this. I'm just gonna go over top of the stencil, just working out any little kinks you might have. If there is any wrinkles or anything, that's fine. It all comes out in the wash. Go ahead and do that. Basically what we're doing here is making sure that all of the little bits and pieces are stuck in so that we can transfer our sticker to the board and then paint it. Okay, next we're going to sand our boards down. So if you give it a feel, it's got a little bit of a rough feeling. If you have a dark board like this one, you're gonna want to refrain from sanding it kind of all over the place. You want to start at one side and just go as straight as you can. And once your board feels nice and soft, then you'll know that you're finished. I am going with a white board today. So with the white ones, you can sand it any way you want. Once you are done the sanding process, just take a cloth, paper towel, anything, and get rid of as much dust as possible. Okay, so we are ready to stick our stencil down now. Okay, so we're just gonna set our board aside. So what you wanna do is you wanna take your stencil, flip it upside down. I'm going to pick at the corner. Sometimes you can even try and rip it a little bit. And this back is gonna peel up. So you want it to be like this. Okay, so if you've got spots where it's coming up like that, just go in, push it back down. If you have spots where the paper is peeling like that, but it's not a problem, just go back in and peel it right up. Okay, so do a once over, just look at your stencil, make sure that everything is all good. Now we're ready to stick it down. Okay, so when we go to stick this down, it's very, very sticky. So if your stencil is oversized, what I use is I use my nail to kind of score just to see where I'm at. And before I go ahead and push it down, I want to make sure that my space here and my space here is the same, and my space on the sides is also the same. So I can tell that I need to move this up a little bit.
Once I have my stencil where I want it, I'm going to use my card just to smooth everything out and make sure it is really stuck down. Once I have my stencil stuck down, I'm just going to start peeling back the transfer tape to expose the stencil and get it ready for paint. You're going to want to peel this back almost on top of itself so that you can make sure that you see anything that's lifting at all. But you want to make sure that the stencil is staying stuck down and is very secure on the board. Once I have the transfer tape up, I'm just going to go over with my card and make sure that everything is secure and tightly down to make sure that the paint doesn't seep in underneath the stencil. Okay, so the key to success here, get your paintbrush in your paint and then really dry it off on the side. You almost just want a dry brush for your first coat. This is going to ensure that you're going to get nice clean lines and that you're not going to have the paint bleeding underneath the stencil, leaving bleed marks when you peel it up at the end. By using as little paint as possible, that gives you the freedom to go in any direction with your paintbrush that you want. I prefer to go around in circles just to make sure that the paint gets into all the little places that it needs to go. So most people are going to go with 2 coats for their sign. It always depends on the look that you're going for. I generally like to stick with 1 or 2 coats. I like the look of a weathered sign, and 1 coat will get me that look. If you want your letters to be a little bit more solid, you'll go with 2. And then depending on the colors that you're using, like reds or greens, you might need to go with 3 coats on those areas. So now that my paint is dry, I am just going to rip the stencil up, and it is just that. You are just going to rip it up, and don't worry about any places that stay stuck down, because you can always go back in with a pin or something sharp and peel those pieces up. I jumped the gun here a little bit, so I'm using a little bit of sandpaper to get rid of some of the wet paint that I got on my sign where it did not belong. Next up, you're going to flip your sign over and take your sawtooth hanger. And I like to eyeball this because I like to live on the edge, but line that bad boy up right in the middle and gently hammer it in. Final step, hang that sign up. Tell everybody who sees it that you channeled your inner Bob Ross and you are an artist, and they can too by supporting Whiskey Rose Wood Co. Thank you so much.